Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another TheMMATakeover.com interview. My name is Keith Schillen. Today's guest is one of the top prospects in all the UFC and in especially the featherweight division. He has a 7-1 professional record, and he is currently 1-1 in the UFC. He returns to the Octagon for Fox 25 on July 22nd in Long Island, New York, when he takes on the undefeated prospect, Jeremy Kennedy. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Bochniak. Kyle, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
What's up, brother, man? Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time. I know you're in the middle of training camp. I know how busy that can be. Obviously, you're training for a fight. You got people like me bothering you, asking you for interviews. So I really appreciate you just taking some time. Let us get to know you a little bit, man.
Definitely, man. It's no problem at all. I like doing it.
Yeah, right away, I'm going to apologize to the listeners. We're using a different technical recording device than we normally do. I don't know how well it will be, so I apologize for that. But even more I want to apologize is we have two New Englanders talking to each other. So obviously you have to deal with my accent, and you got to deal with Kyle. So you got two boys from Southern New England. So we apologize for not pronouncing our R's and all that and saying words you don't understand. So we apologize to all the fans. So first thing I always ask all the fighters, I know you've had the answers before, but I'd like to get a little background. How did you start in mixed martial arts?
Honestly, I basically just fell into it. I played many sports growing up as a kid, always cross-training, playing football or basketball the same day, having 2 games or 2 practices. I ended up going to a welding school around my early 20s. And I was just kind of looking for a gym to stay in shape, and I ended up joining Broadway Jiu-Jitsu in South Boston when I landed my first job, and just kind of stay in shape. And I started beating everybody up in the gym, and I got my first amateur fight and got my hand raised, and I was addicted ever since, and just kind of wanted to ride this wave as long as I could.
Now, did you wrestle? At all in high school?
No,
was any of the jiu-jitsu? No karate? Nothing? Just straight? I've never done anything other than, obviously, you're from Southern New England, so I know you got some scraps.
Yeah.
As we New Englanders like to do.
Late night scraps after party in the woods or something like that. But no, not really. I mean, I was always a gifted athlete. I've always excelled in any sport. I'm a quick learner. I soak everything up like a sponge, and I just kind of missed that competition. I'm super competitive, and I like to stay in shape, and that's basically how it happened. I was in the gym trying to stay in shape. I got in a little trouble as a teen, and I was just trying to get my life together, and I just got addicted to it, and I just, ran with it as far as I could and excelled very quickly. I started training jiu-jitsu first. I had a very high grappling IQ. Everybody thought I wrestled or thought I was lying that I never wrestled, but, I never did, and I excelled very quickly, and then I started picking up boxing at Peter Welch's. I excelled in that pretty quickly, and then I picked up Muay Thai and then started adding my wrestling, and now just really starting to blend it all together and find my own style.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed about just New England in general, this has never really been a hotbed for MMA. I mean, you go all the way back there, you can kind of count on your hand the guys from New England. But recently, I mean, there's guys popping up from New England all the time. I mean, obviously last night was UFC 213. Rob Font, he's obviously a local guy. He looked fantastic last night. Tuesday is the Contender Series. There's a bunch of New England guys on that. Matt Bissett, he's in the main event. Greg Rebello's another guy. He's been on the scene. In the list, there's just guys flowing in from New England. So, that's cool. I grew up in New England, been a New England fan, New England MMA for a long time. We've kind of been like, the cousin no one ever talked about, at the family reunions, but now it's kind of taken over, We're trying to make a little name for ourselves, and you're a big part of that, so congratulations on it, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you're definitely right. It is a little hotbed of talent around here. Everybody's blowing up, and it's definitely very cool. We have everything that we need right in our backyard. I mean, we could take a trip down to Lozones or go to Sit, Broadway Jiu-Jitsu, wherever. Go down to Rhode Island, train gyms down there. So, we have everything that you need up here.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Lausanne. For a long time, when you talked about MMA in New England, it was Joe Lausanne and Kenny Florian. That was it.
Yeah.
In the major, and in Jorge Rivera, I guess too. I should mention him, but usually that was it. And now they're kind of flown in. So let's talk about your team right now. And I don't mean this in an insulting way, and I think you know that. You kind of come from a smaller team.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned John Clark. I was really impressed with his coaching of you in both your UFC fights. I loved at one point when you were fighting Barzola, they go to the corner and you can hear him giving instructions, and he's talking about things, and Brian Stan is explaining what he's talking. And I love at the very end when he says, "I'm just going to tell you to do a takedown," because he doesn't speak English anyways. And that was, I was like, man, that was fantastic. Like, how great was that? So, talk about your coach and let us know who's the next guy from your team that's going to be in the UFC.
I don't know, man. I come from there really wasn't even an MMA program at the gym when I started. I just told my head coach, I wanted to get into MMA, and we kind of just built it up from there. He's obviously been in MMA for a very long time, and he has a very good passion for it, and he's extremely knowledgeable in all areas of mixed martial arts. He's ahead of the curve and everything. Basically, I was the first fighter to get to the UFC, and it's basically just me there now. And that's the way I like it. We have a small little circle, and I trust everybody in it. They trust me, and we game plan specifically. And if we need a cross train, we go to other gyms.
Sure.
But for other UFC fights coming up to the gym, I don't see any right now. Maybe people will join the gym because I'm in the UFC now, and then we'll start building up like that. But
okay,
it's basically a jiu-jitsu gym. We got a bunch of killers in jiu-jitsu. It's primarily a grappling gym.
Yeah.
The big concern John didn't want was his gym turning it into an MMA program. Or an MMA gym. So it's primarily a jiu-jitsu gym. So you go there, we learn jiu-jitsu. We have a Muay Thai program, bunch of amateur Muay Thai fighters. But that's about it. I train jiu-jitsu every night. I go for my boxing, I cross-train. I go up Peters for my boxing, or I see a boxing coach. I do my Thai privates at Broadway. He comes in. But then we blend everything together twice a week in MMA, and then we get my matchup, and then we go cross-train, either Lausanne or City Otong, train with Rob Font or whoever over there. But other than that, man, that's the way it is. Small little circle, the way I trust. John's been there since day one, and he's just brought me under his wing and molded me into the fighter I am. So
you've been putting the miles in on the car, though. I mean, those, you drive to this gym, drive to that gym.
Oh, yeah. No, well, we got everything there, you know what I mean? But the only time I go to the other gyms is if we're looking for bodies to, do some cross-train or getting some rounds in for someone who represents my my opponent. But other than that, I honestly have everything I need at Broadway Jiu-Jitsu or right down the street.
Yeah. Have you done any training with any teams outside of New England?
No, I've never took a trip to anywhere like Jackson's or Team Alpha or wherever. I literally started my career at Broadway Jiu-Jitsu as an amateur, and I've been there since day one and never left. And been molded into the fighter who I am today. Like, I didn't know anything. Like we said in the beginning of the interview, I never did wrestling or jiu-jitsu or anything like that. And I just kind of got into it all at once, knowing nothing. Just a super good athlete and excelled just physically and tenaciously, but I was lacking a lot of skills. And, John and Broadway Jiu-Jitsu, like, they molded me into the skill fighter to get the skill set that I needed, so I never really had to go anywhere else. Now, basically, we just go any other places just to, like I said, to cross-train and get some bodies and get some different looks.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your UFC fights. You're having your third one. You've had two already. You're 1-1. You were in two really close fights, both of them. I want to talk about the Charles Rosa one. I was there live. It was a fantastic fight. It was. You were bloody. He was bloody. What really stands out to me is that you got the call on 4 days' notice. I mean, that's insane. And make your UFC debut. One thing, sometimes you get these guys who get the call like, hey, someone gets hurt. Hey, let's go with the local guy because, we don't have to fly him out, And it sometimes is a little bit of an advantage being that local guy. The issue is you fought another guy who was a local guy, so you didn't even get that advantage. So you get the call in 4 days. were you ready? Were you expecting? Because I know you just fought like a week before that. Tell us the story. Like, how'd that call come in?
It was a crazy ride, man. I kind of been planning it about six months out from that day. I knew they were coming to Boston. I was trying to get many as fights as I could possible and trying to finish people as fast as possible. Hopefully that someone would get injured and I would get the call up. I mean, we have a lot of stud 45ers in New England, so, you know, I didn't know if I would get the call or not or someone else. But, you know, I planned ahead. I went to the Ultimate Fighter. I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter. It was like a year before. I made it pretty far into casting. I was in the hotel. I was one of the last 30 people in the hotel. I had like 500 people who applied, and I got cut at the very last minute, basically, because they said I was too small, and they said just wait around. We'll have a featherweight Ultimate Fighter, and we'll give you an invite. But sure enough, they came to Boston. Someone got hurt. My name was already in the system. I made a bunch of contacts when I went out there and tried out, and everybody's putting a buzz in their ear saying, give Kyle the call, and they called me, and I fought a week before. I finished my opponent in the second round. I had to cut weight twice, which sucked. I was trying to keep my weight light just in case if I did get the call, because I knew the UFC was coming, and I was trying to keep my weight light. But man, cutting weight twice in a week is brutal. Yeah. I felt great going into the fight. It was 4 days' notice. I made it to my dream. It felt amazing. I can't even describe how it felt. But after that first round, or the first 2 minutes in that round, I just had no glycogen or nothing in my muscles. I felt like I was in mud, and my legs were made out of stone. So it was incredibly difficult, and I persevered through it. And altogether, I thought it was a great debut. Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned you've had to cut weight twice in the same week, and how hard that is. I mean, there's pro athletes, top fighters. I mean, Amanda Nunes yesterday, and there's word that she got pulled possibly from a weight cut issue. Obviously, there's other stories to that, but I mean, it could be Nurmagomedov. There's guys who's been struggling making weight. To make weight twice, I mean, that's really, really impressive. The thing about the fight is you didn't show that you were tired. Like, you were going strong in the third round. But you mentioned that you felt, your arms weak. Do you think it was because of the weight cut, or could it have been that what they say of the adrenaline dump from your first time UFC? Obviously your family's there, anything like that?
It was all weight cut, man. I didn't have any time for any jitters or any adrenaline dump. It was like, I got the call, oh, fuck yes, let's go do this. It was really just the weight cut. I put on a really good poker face. I was exhausted. Okay. That was the most tired I've ever felt, other than my first amateur fight. That was ridiculous. But yeah, like I said, it was just I felt great going into the fight. It was just the double weight cut, man. I was cutting from 165 to 145 within 7 days, twice. So it took a lot on me. But other than that, I remember being in there and just like, I wasn't showing or anything, but I was smiling. Like, I was so happy. I knew I had to put on a performance. I knew everybody was looking at me. Yep. And I couldn't be gun shy. I had to just pull the trigger, and just, if I got knocked out, I got knocked out. If he got knocked out, he got knocked out. I was there to put on a show.
Sure. I was there. That was January. That was on the TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz card of last year. I was there. I was actually lucky enough to sit right next to Tisha Torres. I don't know if she felt lucky because I was probably hitting on her the entire time. That was before we found out that I definitely wasn't her type. But anyway, just joking around. She was very sweet. She is an American top team fighter. Obviously, Charles Roster is an American top team fighter. And we were talking like the whole time. She was really great. I wasn't really hitting on her, but she was really great. And she, at the fight ended, she turned to me and she goes, "Did Charles win?" And I said, "I don't know." I said to her, and I'm not just saying this 'cause I'm talking to you, because I've gone on record to tell fighters I thought they lost fights and this and that. And she turned to me and she goes, "Did Charles win?" And I go, "I don't think so." and I scored the first round, and I scored the third round for you, and I think I scored the second round for him. And she was nervous. And I didn't have a dog in the fight. I just enjoyed the fight,
Yeah, definitely. It was a scrap. It was definitely a good fight, and like, it could have went either way. Just like my second fight.
Yeah, have you? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
It could have went either way, just like my second fight as well.
Yeah. No, the second fight. I mean, there's a lot of people who scored that fight for Barzola. Obviously, one of the judges scored it for Barzola. When you looked at both fights, let's talk about it. When you looked at both fights, do you feel like you won those?
I do. Yeah, I felt like I was. Actually, the Charles Rosa fight to me felt more closer than the Barzola fight. But just maybe because I was so tired and I was trying to just get to the damn bell. But yeah, I felt like I won both fights. But again, like, it was all experience to me. I mean, I was still green. I mean, it's been over a year now. I was still kind of green in the sport, performing under bright lights, still trying to find myself as a mixed martial artist. Yes, I was. And the thing is, I was learning so much during those times. Like, I advanced so much in martial arts that I was kind of decompartmentalizing each art. Like, okay, now I'm Thai. Okay, now I'm wrestling. Okay, now I'm jiu-jitsu. So there's kind of a hiccup there.
Sure,
now, I had that transition and that experience, the 15 minutes in the octagon with Rosa, persevering under 2 weight cuts, and then going versus Barzola, actually feeling the jitters for the first time, and then game planning for someone who came out and did exactly the opposite of what I game planned for. So now I had to go through Rosa and then Barzola, got my 30 minutes of octagon experience while trying to find myself as a martial artist, my own style. And now it's been over a year, so I cannot wait for this next fight to prove everybody and show everybody who the real Crash Kyle Bochniak is in his style.
In some ways, I've heard fighters talk about this, especially prospects, that sometimes going to a decision is a blessing instead of, like, just starching your guy right in the first minute because of gaining the experience, realizing, hey, you know, especially going from regional scene where you've been smoking guys to all of a sudden, like, oh, this is a different level. And hey, how am I going to react when it gets tough? How am I going to react when I get hurt? How am I going to react when, you know, I blast my nose and my eyes get watery and the crowd's cheering and, you know, we're all calling for blood like the gladiator games and you're hurt, you know, or he hits you with a body shot, liver shot, and you're hurt. And one thing that really stood out, I've heard you say this before, and I've noticed this transition a lot with prospects or just fighters in general, and you made a big point where you said that you compartmentalize fighting. You think of, like, wrestling. Okay, I'm going to wrestle now. Okay, now I'm going to strike. And I think a good, and I don't know if you watched the fights last night, but a perfect I'm trying to think what the word is. A perfect example of this was the main event last night. Yoel Romero, if you go on paper, Yoel Romero is a way better wrestler than Rob Whittaker. Yoel Romero is a world champion. You know?
But he transition quicker.
And then he's, you know, the striking is up and, but it was like, okay, Romero's like, okay, I'm going to strike now. I'm going to wrestle now.
Yeah, exactly.
While Whittaker, it's like, no. They go together. They flow together. It's all one.
Yeah, a wrestling shot should be a part of your combination.
Yeah.
Or defending a takedown should be a part of a combination. So
that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So you mentioned you've been out for a year. That's a long layoff. Any worried about that? Any worried that it could be ring rust or anything like that?
No, like I said, man, I between the Rosa fight to the Barzola fight, like, I learned so much because I made a good piece of money and I was able to just focus on training. So I kind of learned too much. But then I went in there versus Barzola, got the experience that I needed. And then I had another, I think it's going to be 11 months since I fought. But again, I was training for a fight in March. So I was in a fight camp. My fight fell through versus Pepe in Brazil. So I went through a full camp, ready to go. He pulled out a week out for an orbital fracture. And I had an injury wrong with my knee that I was trying to get to the damn fight, but since he pulled out, I decided, well, let's get this fixed.
Sure.
And and then, you know, I got it fixed, and I hopped right into another camp. So it wasn't like I've been taking time off. I've been training for fights for almost a year now.
Is everything good? Everything good with the knees?
I feel incredible. Like, everything feels great. This is the best I've ever felt and looked going into a fight. Like,
good.
Everything's flowing nicely. Like I was saying, like, I found my style halfway through last year. Like, everything's going super smooth. My combinations, everything from takedowns to takedown defense to transitioning to counters and Muay Thai to boxing to jiu-jitsu. Like, everything's flowing super nice, and I just can't not wait to open a lot of people's eyes.
Excellent. Now let's talk about your current fight. You're fighting Jeremy Kennedy, you're going to be in Long Island, not too far from where you live and where I live.
Yeah.
How many of your friends and family coming out to watch the fight?
I'm from a little town in Gloucester. It's basically the end of the highway, 128 in North Shore. You go all the way to the end of the highway and you go over a bridge and you got an island there. That whole island's probably going to come, and my whole Greek family, well, my wife, she's Greek, her whole family's coming. It's huge, and a bunch of people from my gym in Boston. So it's going to be like a hometown type of thing, even though I'm not from Long Island, but I'm going to have way more fans there than Kennedy's going to have.
Yeah,
so
he's coming from Canada, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you mentioned Gloucester. That's like just kind of like near the Cape area, right?
No, it's opposite. So Cape area is
Cape South.
Cod.
Yeah.
Cod is the south, and then you go north, you got Cape Ann. So Cape
Ann, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now. For some reason, I thought it was like the beginning of Cape Cod.
No, it's over the top. You could actually take a boat right over to Cape Cod.
Okay. That's Gloucester. That's where that's the perfect storm, right? Yeah. Yeah, cool. That's very cool. So you got like this big fishing town, small town. And have you seen that movie, and how close of that movie is it to the actual area? Like how accurate do they set it?
Well, the Andrea Gale is the ship that went down.
Yeah.
And the Crow's Nest basically is where the fishermen basically spent their lives, after fishing, hanging out in there, hanging out at the bar. Just the real Crow's Nest in the movie that's not the real Crow's Nest. That was made up one, but the real one's right in Gloucester downtown, and the Andrea Gale is obviously not the real ship, but they filmed a lot of it in Gloucester, right on the boulevard and everything. So it is pretty accurate with the story and everything. I need to watch that movie again. I forget a lot of it, but
yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, it is pretty accurate. It's actually the Grand Banks is actually where it happened when they were going out to the Grand Banks. It's like off of Maine, but the boat was from Gloucester.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the actual fight now. There's a big beef going on with you and this guy, which you haven't had with your other fight. Other two opponents. Obviously, Barzola doesn't speak English, so that really didn't help. But
he's like, what?
You kind of got into it with Kennedy. It started, and tell me where I'm wrong. It started with you on another podcast, which was obviously your first mistake. You got to come on this podcast, but you went on another podcast. No. So you're on a podcast. You just mentioned his name as like, hey, here's a guy that, hey, and it was almost like a respectful thing. Like, he's a good fighter. I want to challenge myself against a good fighter. A fan jumped at it and was like, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. And that's what's like the flame. And I just want to read, because I didn't see the first part about something he said, something about being on your knees. You respond, get off your knees, Jeremy Kennedy. If we get matched up, I will dig your grave for free. He responds, you should get down on your knees and be grateful I'm even interested in this matchup. You're 0-2 in the UFC. Fact correct, you're 1-1, but I'm assuming he's trying to say you should have lost to Barzola.
Yeah.
You respond, dude, your style fucking sucks, and you're scared to get hit. You wouldn't last one round with me. Time will tell. Mm-hmm. He says, I don't think you even believe that, Kyle. I'm taking a step backwards for this fight, so hopefully it happens before you get cut. If you keep telling yourself that you'll be having, I'm sorry, I can't even read. This is my public school education. If you keep telling yourself that you'll be having a very rude awakening, and then he just first responds with the classic, you're a bum. Yeah, and I don't know how far past that it went, but we're going to go to the judges' scorecard on the first round to see who wins that round. He went with the classic, you're a bum at the end. I'm going to say he stole it with the classic, you're a bum. No. So
did he say that, or did I say that?
No, he said that. He went with the classic, you're a bum. But what I'm really gonna give it to him is he used your right.
Oh, did he?
He did. He did the RE at the end, which a lot of people get wrong. So
I get that wrong all the time.
No, I do too. I do too, because one time I was like debating like MMA or something with somebody, and I was like, you're dumb, Y-O-U-R, like, oh, dude, you're dumb. And then, like, they corrected me, and then it was like, okay, I stick my head in the sand. Cause, like,
yeah, but no, the shit talking was good. We stayed up all night doing that. It basically started, I made a Twitter post, and Shelby, Dana White, basically UFC Long Island, want to get on that card. And then he commented on it saying, I want to fight on that card. I don't know if he was calling me out or just commenting on my Twitter post, but I don't know how the hell he would comment on my Twitter post. So I took it, he was calling me out. So then when I went on that podcast, they asked me who I would like to fight, and I said, basically either Jeremy Kennedy, he's a good prospect. It would separate the prospects who are going to climb the rankings. Artem Lobov, who the fuck doesn't want to fight him? Whatever. So he heard that podcast, and then he went on my Instagram, and he was like, get down on your knees. And I was like, you would like that, wouldn't you? And then he said something weird, and he deleted his comment. And then I was like, let's get off this Instagram. Let's switch this beef over to Twitter. You know what I mean? More people see it, and hopefully Shelby sees it, and he actually gets this matchup lined up, not on Instagram. So I started chirping away, and he started chirping away, and we went all night. And then at the athlete retreat, I was in Shelby's ear, and I guess he was in Shelby's ear, and we came home from the athlete retreat, and we both had a contract in the mail. So
and nothing happened at that. No words exchanged between you two, anything like that, dirty looks, any shit like that.
You know, we bump to each other every now and then, and like he puffed out his chest, trying to act all swole and big, and I just like, hey, what's up?
Okay. All right. So no Angela Magana moment, no punches, anything like that.
No, nothing like that. No, we know we're gonna fight, so it is what it is. Make it fun. You know what I mean?
So, any extra pressure heading in, being that you've talked shit, or is it just like any other fight?
No, there's no extra pressure at all. I just hope he's training hard and taking me serious because I'm coming in there to rip his fucking head off.
All right. So I know, obviously, I don't want you to give away game plan, but when you look at his game, are you one of these guys who likes to watch film? And then the second part, like, what do you see in his game?
Yeah, man, I love watching film. I over prepare on everything. So, I mean, I'm always watching this film, always trying to look at pictures and everything. Always visualize him throughout the day when I'm going training, his stance, everything. So when I get in that cage, it's going to ring the bell as soon as I look at him and the way he moves. But again, I think he's very good at what he does. He likes to bring the fight where he likes it, and every fighter should. You know what I mean? If you're good at something, then do it. And I'm sure he's going to be looking out for my right hand. I love my right hand, and I'm going to it. Yeah. It's no secret. And he's going to put me against that fence and try to suck me down and hold me there because he does not want me to get my hands on him. But I'm not underestimating him at all. He's a tough dude. He went to Fortaleza, enemy territory. He didn't wilt. He showed great poise. He got rocked a couple times. He got his wits back together, and he did what he had to do to get the W. But I just think I'm a different breed. He's never fought anyone as tenacious and aggressive and as, like, no one knows it. I'm still green to everybody, but no one's even seen any of my ground game or anything.
Sure.
So he's going to be underestimating me as well. If you want to take it to the ground, I'm just as good on the ground as I am striking. So I think I can go wherever the fight goes, and I just can't get pinned against that fence. And I'm going to drop bombs on his head, and hopefully he wants to prove me wrong, but he's not a pretty boy and doesn't want to get hit.
Yeah, I spoke with him before his fight, and when he went to Brazil, and I was originally predicting against him, but he actually talked me into picking him. Yeah, he won that fight. So this one, I've spoke to both of you, so I'm staying neutral. My wife is originally from Canada, so she might be pulling for him, and if she does, then I'll say, okay, I'm originally from New England, so we'll make it fair. So let's talk about that. You're from New England. What do you like to do in your spare time?
I don't know, man. Right now, I've been taking this UFC thing pretty seriously. So since I've been in the UFC, I really haven't been doing anything. Just training, trying to get better and recover, and trying to get up these damn rankings and fight some people.
Right. But
you know,
there's got to be something though. Like, you know, you get some spare time. You're like, all right, I got to clear my mind. Is it a book?
I
Is
just
it
like
video
chilling
games?
I got 2 dogs and my wife. We just hang out, family time, man. Take the dogs out for walks, or
All right.
Just hang out, chill. But we're going to Greece right after my fight, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Okay, that's where her family is, or just sightseeing?
Well, yeah, her family's from, her grandfather's originally from Sparta. So we're going to go out there and relax and hang out in the village and just let loose.
Cool, man. Cool, that's awesome. That's very cool. So, listen, I thought of something. You know, I want to see how New England you really are. So I'm going to do a little test. And I believe every New Englander, especially a Southern New Englander, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, should be able to answer these questions. Four very easy questions.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning. You're going to work. You start driving. You're feeling tired. You got a couple minutes to spare. You're like, hey, I'm running a little early. I'm going to get a coffee. Where are you getting it from?
Something's good.
Okay, he's 1 for 1. That's a no-brainer. If he said Starbucks, I was like, all right, dude, I'm not moving forward. All right, you're like, you know what? I got an extra $1 on me. I'm going to get a donut. So you get a donut. You're like, what kind of donut I want? You're like, you know what? I want a chocolate one with these little things on top. Most people call them sprinkles. We call them
Jimmy's.
Jimmy's. There you go. He's 2 for 2.
I've always
all
called
right.
them Jimmy's.
You know, you're in a weight cut, so you're not eating a donut, but you cheated, and you're like, oh man, this donut is so good. This donut is blank good.
This donut is fucking good.
Oh, you know what? Yes, that is true. New England would say that. But say it's a piece. Mad good. No, I'm talking wicked good.
Wicked good.
Come on. All right, so I'm putting an X there. You should have had that one. But this one is a 2-pointer. If you get this one, you'll win. John Anik calls Brian Stanton the greatest living American, and every time he says that, all of us in New England said that is not true. The greatest living American is
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. There we go. That's my man. There's a true Southern New Englander. Congratulations.
Yeah. What do you call a waterfront one?
A bubbler.
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't sure. I was going to ask you that one, but I was like, I don't know. Is that a Rhode Island thing, or is that is Masson still in that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, bubbler. Yeah, and
funny.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna let you get out of here. I gotta do some predictions. All the gamblers love this part. The main event that evening, Chris Weidman and Kelvin Gastelum. I need who wins, round method.
Crazy. That's a hard one. I'm gonna go with Kevin Gastelum. He's looking good at this weight class.
Okay.
I love his hands, man.
Okay.
Extremely tenacious. I think he wins TKO third round.
Okay, and I'm assuming you're picking that because Weidman's a Yankee fan, right?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, man. I love Weidman, and he's in his home city. That should play a big role in it as well. But Gastelum's been looking red hot.
All right, so listen, I got that clicked. I've got Gastelum. I'm gonna parlay it. Your fight. How do you win? Round method. Let me know.
Let's see. I'm going to win this fight second round. RNC.
All right. I'm going to let you get out of here. I appreciate taking the time, spending time with us. I'm being neutral, but I'm wishing you luck in this fight, and I welcome you to the MMA Takeover family.
Thanks, man. It was a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our interview with UFC fighter Kyle Bochniak. Make sure you check out his next fight at UFC on Fox 25 on July 22nd in Long Island when he takes on Jeremy Kennedy. And to continue to receive the best MMA news, head over to our website, themmmatakeover.com. That's themmmatakeover.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social medias. Thanks for listening.